Tiger fans, what is going on, guys? So, let's jump right on into it. This week, and everyone knows what's going on this week, it's all been about Miguel Cabrera. So, like I said in my last video, the Tigers, all they needed to do was sweep Baltimore, who is now on a 10-game losing streak. They're getting absolutely wrecked. They're basically locking up the first overall pick. And then Cleveland, they were facing the Oakland A's, who are really hot right now, and they're battling for the NL West crown, or the AL West crown. They're battling basically for the division, and the Indians ran into a buzzsaw. The last game of the series series, they lost 17-0. They got absolutely stomped. So this Baltimore series, it was really nothing special. The O's have been playing really bad baseball. Highlights of the series basically was pretty much Miguel Cabrera hit number 499, which put him at 500, which is going to lead in to this past weekend. So he hits 499. Tigers sweep Oakland. Matt Manning had one of his better, probably his best overall start of his career. They actually tattooed John Means the second time through, because last time they played Baltimore in Comerica, John Means had a hell of a start. He was absolutely dominating. They beat Matt Harvey this time through, which they should have, because Matt Harvey is not good anymore. And they actually got to him and finally got some freaking runs off of him, because last time when they played him at Comerica Park, he had went 6 or 7 innings, and they didn't. I think they got a single run off of him, and that was one of those games, because the last time they played Baltimore, the first 2 games of that series, they scored runs late, and they got the tying runs on base in the 8th and 9th inning, later innings, I should say, and they couldn't do anything, and they lost a couple of games, and they only took 1 of 3. Well, like I said, this was bigger circumstance, because if they would have swept Baltimore and Indians get swept by the A's, then they'd be tied for second going into this upcoming weekend series. So we get into the Tigers. They sweep. Miggy hits 499. So it's Thursday night, and I'm thinking, damn, Miguel Cabrera has 499 home runs. I have yet to go to a game at Comerica Park this season. I have not been to a game at Comerica Park since 2019. Now, I have since moved from Michigan, but I don't live very far from Comerica Park. I'm about a 3.5-hour drive. So I have, since moving from Michigan, I've yet to go back to a Tigers game. I've been to Great American Ballpark like 3 times already this season to see the Reds play. But when you go to a ballpark just to watch a game, it's great. I'm a big baseball fan. It's awesome. Great American Ballpark. I can't recommend it enough if you guys ever come down to the Cincinnati area. It's an awesome place to see a ball game. It's a beautiful park. But when you're going to see, I saw the Reds play the Cubs twice. Both times it was before the Cubs blew up their team, but it just doesn't have the same effect. It's cool. I get to see Eugenio and Nick Castellanos still, and Joey Votto's having a great year, and Jonathan India's having a good year. But it's not the same, man. Going to the home ballpark and seeing the Tigers in their home whites, especially coming into this weekend where the Tigers were playing for second place. Now, I know this is like, the Tigers are under 500. The Indians are under 500. The Indians are here because they traded away Francisco Lindor. They don't have Aaron Savali. Bieber has been hurt. The Indians overall should be a better team than the Tigers this year. There's really no debate about it, because the talent level is just completely different. But you look at the last 3 months, the Tigers have played over 500 every single month. I think they're 12 games over 500 since May. They've been playing really good baseball, and they've been beating a lot of good teams, whether it was beating the Red Sox in a series or sweeping the Yankees. They still haven't been able to beat the Indians. I don't know why. The Indians took the season series again. At least they finally have won some games at Progressive. They had a 20-game losing streak at Progressive at one time. But, it led to right now where we're battling for second place. And you guys know, with the rebuild and everything else, it's playing for pride at this point. The fact that we haven't won more than 64 games since 2016, us as Tiger fans, seeing this team be at almost a 500 clip, being in its second place, and it's not April 3rd, that means a lot for us. And the guys that has gotten them there, all the young dudes. It's basically been on the back of our young starting pitching. Great additions by Al Avila with Eric Haas and Akil Baddoo, those guys, and then the emergence of Derek Hill. So I wanted to go to Comerica Park. Miguel Cabrera has 498 home runs. I'm like, I got to go. I got to be up there. I haven't been to Comerica Park in 2 years. Let's go do this. So I drive up Friday night to stay with some family. The Tigers lose game 1 of that series. It was kind of a laugher game. Really nothing special. So game 2 comes, and that's the game I'm at. So first off, Tiger fans, this is for you guys. I normally bash this fan base because there's a bunch of fair weather fans, and I'm still going to bash it a little bit because the only reason why that the stadium was as filled as it was is because of Miguel Cabrera being at 499. First off, the outfield's being packed because someone wants to catch the baseball to sell because they know what the value of a 500th home run is going to be. But it was the biggest crowd at Comerica Park in 2 years. There was over 32,000 people there. Now, I've been going to Comerica Park since 2003. From 2011 to, I want to say, 2017 or 18, I would go to between 5 and 12 games a year. The most games I ever went to was 17 one season. And I went to other states to watch the Tigers play. Now, I was there during the years from 11 to 15 when the Tigers were really good. I was there where you could go on a Tuesday afternoon day game, and that place would be packed. Tiger fans would show up. It would be loud. It would be a great atmosphere. All the playoff games that I've watched on TV there with that electric atmosphere. But going to this game, it was like I went back 8 years, and it's 2018 again, or 2013 again, because it was so loud. Every single time Miguel Cabrera came up to plate, not a single person sat down. Every single person was on their feet. Everyone was yelling, Miggy, Miggy, and it was deafening loud. The only other thing I can compare that to is when I went to the Miracle at Motown game where Aaron Rodgers hit the Hail Mary pass to Richard Rodgers. Ford Field, you could feel the ground like shaking. That's the only stadium I've ever been in that was louder than Comerica Park than when Miguel Cabrera came up to bat. Because it was full. The last time I went to a Tigers-Indians games at Comerica Park, the Indians had won the division, and it was like an Indians home game. I was absolutely gut-wrenched by how awful the fan base was that couldn't come out and support this team, even though they weren't going to win the division, and the Indians, were going to win it. I think it was 2016. They let it be an Indians home game, and all the Indians fans were cheering, and it was just a pathetic display by Tigers fans. And like I was saying, I know why all these people are there, because they want to see Miguel Cabrera hit for 500, and if he was at 487, it would have been a game with 12,000 people showing up in the stands, because let's be real, no one gives a shit to see Robbie Grossman and Eric Haas and Jacob Robson. Now, since Akil Baddoo and Derek Hill can't catch a fly ball in the outfield, they collided with one another like a couple of linebackers, a linebacker hitting a running back. But still, the environment was so good. I got goosebumps. It was fantastic. Going to Comerica Park for the first time in 2 years, you're just overwhelmed by the smells of cinnamon roasted almonds. You got the nasty overpriced Little Caesars pizza. You get to go to the D shop. I actually bought a grab bag, a mystery bag. When I went to Coors Field, you could actually get a game-used baseball there. And they didn't have that per se at Comerica Park, but you could get a mystery bag that had a game-used or a game-used autograph item. And I actually got a Ryan Carpenter MLB debut baseball, a ball that he threw to Jordy Mercer, so former Tiger, and was actually odd about this ball as this game was a doubleheader, and I was actually at this game he made his debut because it was the first game of the doubleheader. It was a cold-ass day, and I was actually sitting behind home plate. And if you go back and watch this game, you can actually see me behind home plate in this game. And I was actually acting like a total asshole. Like, you could see me leaning my head down like this and waving hi to the camera. So, yeah, I was actually at this game. So it was kind of a weird coincidence. But anyways, Willie Peralta starts this game. First at bat, the Indians get a quick run. First at bat for Miguel Cabrera, gets a single, 2,951 hits. Second, Jamer comes up, bops a 2-run shot, hits it right into the camera well. So we get a little bit further into the game. It's 4-3, and I forget who's pitching, which is pathetic because I was at the game. But the Indians are getting a rally late, and Jose Ramirez, man, had a series. He had a triple and a double this game, and he is a pest, man. Everything that guy hits against the Tigers, he's just an extra base machine. Like that Indians team, it's weird because they're not a good team offensively this year. It's basically Franmil Reyes and Jose Ramirez, and the rest of the team is just dog shit. But Jose Ramirez gets a couple of hits. They ended up loading the bases a couple times. Billy Peralta got out of a big jam. So they end up tying the game. It's 4-4. Zach Short this game, though. Zach Short, my boy, finally gets a fucking base knock, gets an RBI single, and he hit the ball really hard. He's been hitting the ball really good. Like, it's more contacts, more line drives. He's been hitting the ball solid, but he hasn't getting rewarded. But Zach Short finally gets a base knock, puts the Tigers up. I think that was the 4-3 or 4-2. Can't remember, but it doesn't matter. All I know is they put him up. And then the biggest at bat of the game, Eric Haas, 8th inning, hits the littlest, most Twins hit blooper hit ever, scores 2 runs. Tigers go up 6-4, and they take it. So now we're setting it up for today. Today's the rubber match. Miggy goes 0-4. He's up. The third bat, his last at bat of the game, he's up. And this game, I wanted to make mention of. So the Indians had this guy on the mound, number 53. I forget his name. It started with an S. He comes up and hits Miguel Cabrera. And for 3 batters after that, this is what absolutely blew my mind and made this game so special and just like gave me goosebumps. For 3 batters consecutive after Miguel Cabrera got hit, everyone's yelling, 53 sucks. 53 sucks. And the crowd was just deafeningly loud. Just deafeningly loud. In the atmosphere, in the environment, in the buzz throughout the building. Because they're playing for second place. Miguel Cabrera's at 499. It's the biggest crowd in 2 years at that place. It was a beautiful night. It was just so loud. People were so happy that, it was a competitive game. And there was a lot of base runners in this game. And it was just very tense moments and lots of action. It was just such a great game. So Miguel Cabrera comes up, his last at bat, and he hits a ball. Now, Miguel Cabrera has not hit a home run to left field at Comerica Park this year. Every one of his home runs has been to right field. Hits a ball, and it's going down the right field foul line. And it looks like it might have a chance to squeak in the foul pole. And that place erupted. I mean, absolutely erupted like the Tigers had just won the World Series. And it hooked just right at the foul pole. And then he ends up drawing a walk, and he was done. They pinch hit him for Jacob Robson, and then that's led to the 2 runs anyways because he got the bases loaded, no outs, and then Haas hit that little bloop single, and they scored 2 runs off of it. They win. So that sets it up for today. Miguel Cabrera still sitting on 499. And they called up Drew Hutchinson. And Drew Hutchinson used to be like a bigger-ish guy in the Blue Jays system back in the day. He actually pitched for the Blue Jays for a little bit. He was an opening day starter in 2015. The guy hasn't been good in a long time. And there's been a reason why he was out of the league. The baseball is in the independent league. Now he's been in the Mud Hens for this past season. I guess he's been pitching okay. Comes out, throws a good first inning. And then the second inning. Now, I don't want to shit totally on Drew Hutchinson because the Tigers had one of their weekly games where the defense, they do this once a week where the defense absolutely looks terrible. Scope had a couple of misplays today. He actually had a ball hit to him yesterday at the game I went to where he lollipopped it, and the Cabrera saved him by tagging the runner out. I don't know why he threw it so slow, but neither here nor there. So the Tigers' defense today did not look good, and there was a lot of bloop hits against them. The Indians did sing them to death, but the Tigers didn't pitch well either because Hutchinson comes out, gets his head knocked in. 6 runs given up in an inning at third. Ian Kroll comes out, gets his head knocked in. Finally, Derek Holland, of all people, and Erasmo Ramirez come out and settle it down, but the Tigers were getting absolutely wrecked, completely wrecked, 11-0. And Tristan McKenzie, who made his debut against the Tigers, and he's had the Tigers' number since he's debuted last year, had a perfect game through 7 2/3 innings. He was absolutely electric, and I mean, it was to the point where you're like, wow, the Tigers are getting absolutely shit-wrecked. But then it's to the point where you're like, wow, there's only been 21 perfect games in the history of baseball. Seeing something like that, you don't get to see Miguel Cabrera become the 28th person to hit his 500th homer, but there's only been ever 21 pitchers to ever do that. So that's insane. That would have been something extremely awesome to witness. But at the same time, the Tigers are now behind the Indians again for second place. And I think, having a perfect game pitched against you, you lose 2 or 3, you lose it in that kind of deflating fashion where you get perfect gamed, that would have really hurt them the rest of the season because the Tigers only have to play 23-20 baseball to have a winning record. And there's no reason why they can't do that the rest of the way out with how they've been playing. I'm really sad that the Tigers are watching Derek Skubal and and Casey Mize's innings how they are. I understand they're young guys and they're pieces they're trying to protect. But look at Michael Fulmer. He burned out after a season, and they try to protect him too. You just don't know. I understand why teams do this, especially with prospects as big as they are. But, Steven Strasburg was even bigger prospect than Casey Mize was. And the Nationals shut him down for a playoff run one time, and he burned his arm out the following year. And he's always been injured pretty much his whole career. He hasn't had many full seasons. And Michael Fulmer is another example where he burned his arm out after his rookie season, and he's had a bunch of injuries, and he's been injured this year. So, and then Nico Goodrum, speaking of injuries, what did I say in my last video? He came back, and I'm like, yep, this is until he gets hurt again. He only made it 2 games, and he's already back on the IL because he hurt his calf or his groin running around first base on a base hit. So it would have been nice to have him to give Short, like I was saying in my last video, to give Short a day off, but yeah, he's already gone. But neither here nor there, I'm a little frustrated that they're watching the innings like they are because there's only a few more starts left. I get it, you're not playing for a playoff push, just more of like a pride thing, trying to be a second place team and be over 500 for the first time since 2016. But it's like, you can coddle these pitchers and watch their innings and all this other stuff, but there's nothing to say that some guy's elbow is going to hold up like Justin Verlander's did. And even Justin Verlander, after all these years in the big leagues at 37 or 38, whatever he is now, he had to have Tommy John surgery. And that dude led the league in at 200 innings pitched. Go check how many times, like 8 or 9 times he's had 200 innings pitched. And how many times he's led the league in strikeouts, like 3 or 4 times. So some guys can just handle that workload, and some guys can just not do it. And I think by coddling these guys and not letting them go out there and make, a regular start every 5th day, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to save some wear and tear on their arms, and you're trying to ramp them up to be, every day or every 5th day guy in the coming years. I get it. But at the same time, it's like you're playing for second place. You're only 3 games under 500. Now you're 4 games under 500. It should have been Casey Mize's day to pitch. So you bring up, Drew Hutchinson, and they get their face knocked in, and they almost get perfect gamed. I think it would have been a different outcome if you had Casey Mize out there. Let him go out, your best pitcher in the staff. Let him go out there, see what he can do about stealing the series, and then the Indians are leaving in 3rd place, looking up at the Tigers in the standings, and you're facing the Angels, who haven't been much better than you this whole season. So, I don't know. I don't 100% stand behind that. I get their purpose of it, but I don't see why giving these guys extra days off and everything else is going to save them. If you have an elbow and you're an injury-prone person, you don't know when it's going to go. Look at Noah Syndergaard. They thought that he was going to be him and Matt Harvey and Jacob deGrom and Steven Matz and Zach Wheeler were going to be the dudes of their future. And look at Jacob deGrom. He can't even pitch 150 innings. And look how many times he's been on the IL this year. And they've skipped starts and they've pushed starts back to help him, get him extra rest, and he just still gets hurt. I think it's just in your body. Your elbow's either going to last or it's not. You can do all the conditioning you want, but there's just some guys that have rubber arms. And there's just some guys who, you get them off the IL, they do all this rehab, and, they're hurt. Jordan Zimmerman. Perfect example. Didn't matter how much he conditioned in the offseason. It didn't matter his throwing program. Didn't matter if he got extra. He would get hurt every year. And the same thing with Michael Fulmer. He gets hurt all the time. I think it's just you're either going to be good or you're done. You're going to not be your potential, and you're going to be a reliever. Michael Fulmer. He's been a great reliever. I'm glad that's worked out for him, but still. I'm just a little frustrated that they had an opportunity to be sole possession of second place, they're Tristan McKenzie's out there, and you're throwing Drew Hutchinson, and they get their face kicked in and almost perfect gamed. But neither here nor there. It was an amazing weekend. Honestly, it felt so good to be back home in Michigan. I like living in Ohio for the fact of what I'm doing down here, and I do enjoy the country aspect of it after living in Detroit for all the years that I lived in Detroit, the hustle and bustle, and just how expensive it is to live there. But going back home, seeing family, and then being at Comerica Park, just that atmosphere, that place, and the fact that there was all those people there, and it was just such an amazing event to go and have the opportunity to see Miguel Cabrera hit 500 home runs. It was fantastic, and I truly miss going to as many games at Comerica Park as I used to, because it's a great place. And seeing the Tigers in the home whites, and being in a crowd that yells, "Hey, you're in Detroit," instead of being in Ohio, where they're like, "Yeah, Ohio," and you're like, "Oh," being from Michigan, you're like, "Oh God, I'm associated with these people now." But neither here nor there. Tigers welcoming the Angels for 3. Obviously, we know the Angels. My younger brother is going to the game on Wednesday. He's hoping that Miggy doesn't hit that home run until then. It'd be cool for him to see it. I didn't get to see it. Might as well let my brother get some opportunity. The Angels, pretty much, they're a team that can't beat teams that have better records than them. They pretty much beat up on teams that have a worse record than them, which the Tigers do, but they're pretty comparable. Tigers have a much better pitching staff than them. Basically, it's Shohei Ohtani, and that's pretty much about it. David Fletcher is another really good pesky hitter. They still got Jay up and all that other stuff. No Mike Trout, but you control Ohtani, and you can get through this lineup. It's not that bad. The Angels aren't that good of a team. They don't have that great of a pitching staff. Their bullpen's not that good. They're a very, very average team, and I don't see why the Tigers couldn't take 2 or 3 from this series. So, great being back home. It was awesome to go to Comerica Park. Sucks I didn't get to see Miggy hit his 500 home run, but that atmosphere, that Comerica Park, it gave me goosebumps, and it was fantastic to see Tiger fans out there, and that big of a group. That's not an opening day, just a regular night. Saturday night ball game in August, to see all those Tiger fans out there cheering Miguel Cabrera on, everyone on their feet. I mean, just yelling his name. It was fantastic, and I loved every second of it. So that's all I got for you guys today. I'll see you next week. Have a good one, guys.